Hi, how are you? What's the difference in post-traumatic stress disorder and complex post-traumatic stress disorder? What's a trauma? Let's put it in layman terms. Those big things are usually discussed with a very professional language without any context with the normal world. So let's think about first what a trauma is when we talk about anxiety, nightmares, and that kind of things. When talked about trauma, you can very well understand that it was something that upset you. So, for example, if you, in a light summer evening, you are, for example, walking in the forest and suddenly there is a huge dog that runs towards you from a cliff or something like that, or you are startled by a moose or bear or whatever you can find in that environment, or if you are in a city, for example, you cross a corner and around the corner comes this madman, this lunatic, this person that is waving around with a gun, for example. So you'll be startled beyond words. You are shook, you want to run, you are afraid that something will happen to you. You are afraid of your life. And okay, that thing passed, you are okay, or you are at least alive. Next time when you walk past the same block, you remember, and you got this quite a queasy feeling that I don't want to walk to that corner because last time the guy came from there and he was a lunatic and raving with a gun. I don't want to go to that part of town. I don't want to walk across that place. That's a trauma. You may see nightmares of what happens. You may see nightmares that you didn't survive. You may see nightmares that there were 5 that kind of guys, or just about the incident that happened. We all know that happens. Maybe it happened to you, or if it didn't happen to you, you know somebody that it happened to. Children always tell that they see nightmares if something dreadful has happened. It's normal. You can say to somebody, don't watch that movie, you have nightmares. That's not the same kind of trauma, or you inflicted it yourself. And that's not very wise, but that's basically the trauma. So if something like that, like bad enough happens, you start to feel anxiety when you go to town, maybe in other places too, but that corner, you have the nightmares, you have the anxiety when you suddenly remember that. It may be as a flashback to you or come as a flashback to you. And then you are like, oh my God, that happened. And I'm so afraid still. And it feels stupid. And it feels awkward that I'm still afraid, even though it happened half a year ago. I still get these shivers whenever it comes to me. Or I still have nightmares. But that's post-traumatic stress disorder. In a simple way. In a way that happens to all of us. And it was only invented when people got back from Vietnam War. There was big enough group of people that professionals had to really label that phenomenon or post-traumatic stress disorder. But what is this complex version then? Complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or complex trauma in short. Well, again, in normal circumstances, in normal worlds, you understand that if the guy came from the corner and you were startled, it made a trauma on you. But what if you live with that guy? What if that guy is your father that raves around with the gun and with the lunatic gleam in his eyes like half of your childhood? What if he always said that you should be dead? Somebody can say that. If he said every other day that like raving lunatic and you should be dead. You understand what that makes, what that does to people. So you start to think that I should be dead. That's your reality. I should be dead. And people are like that. Raving lunatics, waving with guns. That's adult. So you believe that people in the world are raving lunatics with the guns. That's adult. And you believe that your part in this world is to be someone who should be dead. That's complex trauma. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm not a doctor or a therapist, but I'm somebody who suffers from complex post-traumatic stress disorder, complex trauma from my childhood and from the things that happened to me when I was young adult. So even though I'm not a professional and I speak as a normal person, as somebody that is like you. And I thought a long time whether I start to film videos like this. But then I thought, when I have seen the videos that professionals make, that they make it in a different emphasis. I make it on emphasis on how it feels, the continuance from this. I have suffered it for all my life, and it took a long time to realize. Because you understand that if I am full-grown adult and go to that corner and that raving madman comes, I know it's an exception. But when it lives in your house, you don't know that it's an exception. You think that it is a rule. And for that, it takes really long time to realize what has happened to you. And to realize that it's not you. It's the surroundings that were wrong. And of course, the surroundings form your reality, and they form the picture that you have of yourself. And that's the next thing that you have to try to figure out. First, if you figure out that, okay, the place that I grew up, it was not normal, the next thing you have to figure out is, how would it affect on me? Who am I really? And then you can start to change your behavior. Most of complex trauma people that have that kind of things in their past have these kind of behavior patterns that are maybe really harmful for you. And I have had these patterns, and I still have. And I can tell you that I don't believe that I am going to be cured ever. But I know, I'm sure, that I can get better bit by bit in small things and keep myself better until the next lapse comes, and then I'm on the bottom again. But I know even in the bottom that I can get up again. So if from the normal trauma you have the anxiety and you have the nightmares, but they are exception. From a complex trauma that covered all your childhood example, the recovery is a long way, and it forms your reality. And you just have to keep not even fighting. It's a popular word to say that, just fight it. But there is no use of fighting it. You just have to accept it and try to really gently change your view of the world. There are, of course, different things that you can do. I can make a different video of that, what I try to do. But from all my videos, you can see and you can understand, and if you suffer from complex trauma, you can find the things that really affect my life. But I'm still happy that despite of the complex trauma, I still can live my life. There are good things and bad things that have guided me to this point that I am now, but I'm happy that I can live the life that I have been able to get education, even if it was later in life and not as a young person as people usually do. But I have been very fortunate. And for that, I want to talk about this and maybe help others who suffer from complex trauma and help them to see and help them to find what to look for, to realize what their situation is. I hope you have a great day. I see you soon. Goodbye.